My name is Kate, and I am 33 years old. For years ago, my brother married a woman who spent the next 3 years trying to dismantle everything I had with my family. She did it quietly. That was the thing about Melissa. Nothing she did was dramatic enough to point it directly. No single incident that you could hold up and say, here, this is the evidence. Just a slow, consistent campaign of small things that accumulated into something large. I didn't see it coming. Nobody did. Melissa had been warm when Daniel first brought her home. Genuinely warm, or what felt genuinely warm. What I now understand was the particular performance of someone who had decided what she wanted and was assembling the pieces necessary to get it. She laughed easily. She remembered details, the kind of small personal details that made you feel seen, that made you think this person is paying attention. She was paying attention. Just not for the reasons I thought. Daniel had been my best friend before he was my brother. I want to explain what that means because the word brother doesn't fully capture it. He was 4 years older than me. Had taught me to ride a bike, helped me with homework, driven me to school when our parents couldn't. Had been the person I called first for every significant thing. The job offer, the breakup at 24 that had taken me a year to recover from, the apartment I wasn't sure I could afford. He had always been the call I made first. Until Melissa. The first sign was so small I almost missed it. 6 months into their relationship. A family dinner, the kind we had always had, easy and warm, the particular chaos of a family that genuinely liked each other. I had made a joke. The kind of joke Daniel and I had always made with each other, the specific shorthand of siblings who have shared 29 years of references. Daniel laughed. Melissa smiled. But afterward, in the kitchen, just the two of us for a moment while I helped clear plates, she said, "You two have such a close relationship." Just that. Delivered with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "We do," I said. "Always have." "It's sweet," she said. Something in the word sweet. The specific way she said it. I filed it away. Told myself I was imagining the edge in it. I was not imagining it. Over the next 6 months, she said versions of the same thing in different ways. Always casual. Always with a smile. Always in the particular register of someone making an observation rather than lodging a complaint. "Daniel talks about you constantly," said to me warmly, in a way that managed to sound like an accusation. "You and Daniel are so similar, it's almost like you finish each other's sentences." Said to my mother, lightly, in a way that planted something without naming it. "I sometimes feel like the third wheel when Kate's around." Said to Daniel, privately, I only found out later, from Daniel himself, in the conversation that finally broke everything open. Third wheel. In my own family. In the family I had been part of for 33 years before Melissa arrived. The wedding was beautiful. I was maid of honor, Daniel had asked me before he asked Melissa, which she had known and which I understood, in retrospect, had been filed away. Registered as information. A data point in the ongoing calculation. My speech was good. I had worked on it for weeks. The right combination of funny and warm, the kind of speech that celebrates the couple while honoring the history. People cried. Daniel cried. Melissa smiled her smile. Afterward, in the brief moment when Daniel and I were alone, just a minute, just the two of us in the hallway between the ceremony and the reception, he had hugged me. "Thank you," he said. "For everything. Always." "Always," I said. I did not know then that always was about to be tested. The campaign began in earnest after the honeymoon. Not obviously. Gradually. The particular slow erosion of something that happens so incrementally you don't notice the change until you step back and see how much ground has been lost. Family dinners became less frequent. Not canceled, just we have plans, or Melissa's not feeling well, or it's been such a busy week. Plausible. Always plausible. Daniel's calls became shorter. Less frequent. The easy hour-long conversations we had always had compressed into 20 minutes, then 10, then the particular brevity of someone who is being monitored. I didn't know he was being monitored. I found out 18 months into the marriage. My mother mentioned, casually, not realizing the significance, that Melissa had asked her not to call Daniel during work hours because he found it distracting. My mother had agreed. She hadn't thought to question it. Neither had I. Until I started noticing the pattern. And the pattern, once visible, was impossible to unsee. I called my best friend Sophie in February. 2 years into Daniel and Melissa's marriage. 2 years of dinners becoming less frequent and calls becoming shorter, and the particular slow erosion of something I had always taken for granted. I think something is wrong, I said. With Daniel, she said. With Melissa, I said. With what she's doing. I told Sophie everything. The third wheel comment I had found out about. The shortened calls. The dinners that kept not happening. The way my mother had stopped calling Daniel during work hours because Melissa had asked her to. The specific accumulation of small things that individually meant nothing and collectively meant everything. Sophie listened carefully. Kate, she said when I finished. What you're describing has a name. I know, I said. Isolation, she said. She's isolating him. From you. From your parents. From anyone who existed before her. I had known. And not let myself say it because saying it made it real, and real meant I had to do something about it. What do I do? I said. You talk to Daniel, she said. Directly. Not about Melissa specifically, about him. About the distance. About what's changed. What if he doesn't see it? I said. Then you plant a seed, she said. And you wait. And you keep showing up. I called Daniel on a Sunday morning. Not a text, a call. The kind we used to have before the calls became 10 minutes. He answered on the second ring. Kate, he said. Warm. Genuine. The voice of my brother underneath whatever had been layered over it. Hey, I said. I miss you. A pause. I miss you too, he said. Quietly. Can we have lunch? I said. Just us. This week. Another pause. Longer. Yeah, he said. Yeah, let's do that. We met on Wednesday. A restaurant near his office, his suggestion, which meant neutral territory away from anywhere Melissa might appear. I noted that. Filed it away. He looked tired. Not physically, he was healthy, well-dressed, the same Daniel. But tired in the specific way of someone who has been managing something for a long time without being able to put it down. How are you? I said. Good, he said. Automatic. Daniel. He looked at me. How are you actually? I said. Something moved across his face. It's been a hard few months, he said carefully. Tell me, I said. He was quiet for a moment. Melissa and I have been, he stopped. We've been having some disagreements. About what? I said. He looked at his coffee. About family, he said. About how much time I spend with family. I sat with that. How much time do you want to spend with family? I said carefully. He looked up at me. More, he said. Simply. The word of a man who has been negotiating something down for 2 years and has finally said the starting number out loud. Then that's what you should have, I said. It's not that simple, he said. Why not? He was quiet for a long time. Because every time I see you or mom or dad, I come home and there's a conversation, he said. About why I was gone so long. About what we talked about. About whether I told you things I should have told her first. I looked at my brother across the lunch table. At the tired eyes. At the man who had taught me to ride a bike and helped me with homework and been the first call for 29 years being asked to report on his conversations with his own sister. Daniel, I said carefully. I need to ask you something and I need you to hear it without getting defensive. Okay, he said. Does Melissa do this with your other friendships too? I said. Not just family. Friends. Colleagues. Anyone from before? He was very still. Yes, he said, quietly. How long has this been happening? A long pause. Since the honeymoon, he said. I went home and called my mother. She needed to know. Not to alarm her, but because she had been accommodating Melissa's requests without understanding what those requests were part of, and she deserved to understand. My mother listened. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. I thought I was being considerate, she said. Not calling during work hours. I know, I said. That's how it works. Each thing individually looks reasonable. But together. Together it's a pattern, I said. My mother was quiet again. What do we do? She said. We keep showing up, I said. We don't disappear. We make it easy for Daniel to choose us, not by pressuring him, but by being consistently present so the choice is always available. And Melissa? Melissa, I said, is Daniel's to handle. I can't fix his marriage. I can only make sure he knows his family is here. The confrontation happened in March. Not planned, I want to be clear about that. I had not intended to confront Melissa. I had intended to keep showing up, to keep being present, to let Daniel come to his own understanding in his own time. But she called me. On a Tuesday evening. Melissa called me directly, which she had never done before, which told me immediately that something had shifted. Kate, she said. Her voice different from the warm performance of the early days. Stripped of it. The voice underneath. Melissa, I said. I know you had lunch with Daniel last week, she said. Yes, I said. I know what you talked about, she said. Do you? I said. You're trying to turn him against me, she said. You've never accepted our marriage. You've always been too close to him, and you can't stand that I'm his priority now. I sat with that for a moment. The accusations landing one after another. Delivered with the particular confidence of someone who has been constructing this narrative for 2 years and believes it completely. Melissa, I said. I want to say something and I need you to actually hear it. Go ahead, she said. I have never tried to come between you and Daniel, I said. Asterisk, I want him to be happy. I want your marriage to work. Those things are genuinely true. I paused. But I am his sister. I have been his sister for 33 years. And what you have been doing, the calls, the dinners, my mother not phoning him, the conversations he has to have with you every time he sees his family, that is not normal. That is not what healthy marriages look like. Silence. You don't know anything about our marriage, she said. I know that my brother looks tired, I said. Asterisk, I know that he said he wants more time with his family. I know that he has been negotiating something down for 2 years. I paused. I'm not your enemy, Melissa. But I'm not going to disappear either. Daniel gets to have a sister. That was true before you, and it's true now. She hung up. I sat in my apartment and breathed. And waited to find out what came next. Daniel called me the next morning. I had been awake since 6, the particular sleeplessness of someone who has said true things and is waiting to find out what they cost. She told me, he said when I answered. I know, I said. Kate. Daniel, I said. I need you to know that I meant what I said to her. I'm not trying to end your marriage. I'm not trying to turn you against her. I love you and I want you to be happy. I know, he said. But I'm also not going to pretend that what's been happening is okay, I said. Because it isn't. And you know it isn't. A long silence. Yes, he said. I know. What are you going to do? I said. I don't know yet, he said. I need time to think. Take all the time you need, I said. I'm not going anywhere. He took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of silence. Not the cold silence of someone who has chosen against you, but the quiet of someone doing something difficult and needing space to do it. I had learned to tell the difference. During those 3 weeks, I called my mother every few days. Not to update her obsessively, but to maintain the connection, to keep the family present and warm and available for whenever Daniel came back to it. I went to therapy. Dr. Claire had been my therapist for a year, The kind of person who asked the questions that mattered without steering you toward her answers. I told her everything. "How are you handling the waiting?" she said. "Better than I expected," I said honestly. "I think because I know I did the right thing. Not the easy thing. The right thing." "What's the difference?" she said. "The easy thing would have been to keep accommodating," I said. To keep shrinking my presence so Melissa felt more secure. To protect the peace at the cost of the relationship. I paused. The right thing was to be honest. About what I saw. About what I wasn't going to accept. "And if Daniel chooses her version of things?" Dr. Claire said. I sat with that. "Then I'll grieve it," I said. "And I'll keep the door open. And I'll trust that eventually he'll see clearly." "That's very measured," she said. "I've had 3 weeks to get here," I said. Daniel called on a Thursday evening. "I've been in therapy," he said. "The last 3 weeks. Solo. Without Melissa." I sat down. "Tell me," I said. "I've been talking about the marriage," he said. "About the patterns. About what I've been accommodating and why." He stopped. "Kate, I knew. I think I've known for a long time. It was easier to manage it than to face it." "I know," I said. "She's not a bad person," he said. "I want you to know that. She has her own history. Her own reasons for needing what she needs. But the way she's been getting those needs met," he stopped again. "It's not okay. I know it's not okay. What are you going to do?" I said. "We're going to couples therapy," he said. She agreed. I told her it was non-negotiable. A pause. "I also told her that my relationship with you and Mom and Dad is non-negotiable. That those relationships existed before her, and they will exist alongside her, and that is simply true." How did she respond? I said. "Not well at first," he said. "And then better. She's scared, Kate. Underneath all of it, she's just scared of being left." "I understand that," I said. "But scared doesn't justify what she was doing." "No," he said. "It doesn't." I told her that too. I sat in my apartment and felt something I hadn't felt in 2 years. My brother. The actual him, clear-eyed, present, choosing his family without being asked to give up his marriage. "I'm proud of you," I said. "Don't be yet," he said. "This is just the beginning." "I know," I said. "But the beginning is something." Couples therapy took 8 months. I want to be honest about what 8 months looked like, because the version where Daniel and Melissa had a few sessions and everything clicked into place is not the true version. The true version had hard weeks and harder weeks. Melissa resisting and then engaging and then resisting again. Daniel holding the line in ways that cost him something and doing it anyway. I was not part of the therapy. That was appropriate. It was their marriage, their work, and my presence in the room would have been counterproductive. But Daniel called me after difficult sessions sometimes. Not to report, just to hear a familiar voice. Just to remember that the family he was fighting for was real and present and waiting. "Hard session," he would say. "I'm here," I would say. That was usually enough. My mother handled it with the particular grace of a woman who had raised 2 children and understood that the long game was the only game worth playing. She did not push, did not demand, did not make Daniel's choices about her own feelings. She simply kept inviting. Sunday dinners that he sometimes attended and sometimes didn't. Birthday calls that happened regardless of whether he answered. The steady, faithful presence of someone who had decided that her son was worth waiting for and was willing to wait. Melissa came to Sunday dinner in May. The first time since everything had come into the open. She arrived with Daniel, slightly stiff, the particular composure of someone who has been told this is important and is trying. My mother hugged her at the door. Not warmly, not yet. Warmth would take time and would need to be earned. But genuinely. The hug of someone who has decided that the person her son loves deserves the chance to be more than what she has been. I hugged her too. She looked surprised. "Thank you for coming," I said. She nodded. Something moved in her eyes. Not quite gratitude, not yet. But something. The dinner was careful. Not the easy warmth of family dinners before all of this. The careful warmth of people who are trying and know the other people know they are trying. At the end of the evening, Melissa found me in the kitchen. "Kate," she said. "Yes," I said. She was quiet for a moment. I know what I was doing," she said. I didn't let myself see it at the time. But I know now. She looked at me. "I'm sorry." Not the managed apology of someone performing remorse. The plain, honest apology of someone who has done the work of understanding what they did and is standing in the full weight of it. "Thank you," I said. She stopped. "I don't expect things to be easy between us. I know I have to earn that." "Yes," I said. "You do." "I'm going to try," she said. "I know," I said. "I can see that." We went back to the dining room. It was not healed. It was not resolved. It was the beginning of something that would take time and consistency and the ongoing imperfect labor of people choosing differently than they had before. But it was a beginning. And beginnings were enough. 1 year after the therapy began, Sunday dinners were regular again. Not every week. That was perhaps too much to ask for too soon. But most weeks. The warm chaos of a family that genuinely liked each other, gradually reassembling itself. Melissa was different. Not completely different. People don't become completely different, and I was not naive enough to expect it. But different in the ways that mattered. Less monitoring. Less of the careful management of Daniel's attention. More presence. The presence of someone who had learned, slowly and with effort, that she could be in the room without needing to control it. She and I were not close. I want to be honest about that. We were not close, and we might never be close in the easy, warm way of people who find each other naturally. What we were was honest. Careful. Two people who had been through something together and had come out the other side with a mutual respect that neither of us had expected. She asked me for design advice in September. She was redecorating their home office, wanted it to feel like a space they both used rather than just hers. She came to me, specifically, knowing what I did professionally, knowing that asking me was itself a gesture. I gave her 2 hours and my best ideas. She was grateful. Simply, genuinely grateful. "You didn't have to help," she said. "I wanted to," I said. "That's different from having to." She looked at me for a moment. "You're very direct," she said. "Yes," I said. "I'm learning to appreciate that," she said. I almost smiled. Daniel and I had lunch every other week. The restored version, hour-long, easy, the particular shorthand of siblings who have shared 33 years of references. Not exactly the same as before. Richer, somehow. The way things that have been tested and survived are richer than things that have never been tested. "How are you?" I said one Wednesday. "Good," he said. "Actually good." "Not automatic good," I said. "Not automatic," he said. "Real." I looked at my brother across the lunch table. At the eyes that were no longer tired. At the man who had taught me to ride a bike and helped me with homework and been the first call for 29 years, and who was still the first call, would always be the first call, because some things are built deeply enough to survive the people who try to dismantle them. "I'm glad," I said. "Me too," he said. "I want to say something to you. If you have watched someone you love be slowly isolated, if you have felt the particular helplessness of seeing a relationship dismantled piece by piece, dinner by dinner, shortened call by shortened call, I want you to hear this. Keep showing up. Not loudly. Not with ultimatums or confrontations or the dramatic interventions of someone who has decided they know better. Just keep showing up. Keep being present. Keep making it easy for the person you love to choose connection over isolation by never making the choice disappear. And when the time comes to say the true thing, say it. Not from anger. Not from the accumulated bitterness of being pushed out. From love. From the clear-eyed love of someone who sees what is happening and refuses to pretend otherwise. The true thing said from love is the most powerful thing available to you. I said it to Melissa on the phone. I said it to Daniel over lunch. And the family that had been slowly dismantled rebuilt itself, not into what it was before, but into something more honest than before. Something that had been tested and knew its own strength. That is not a small thing. That is everything. Your people are worth fighting for. Not with weapons, with presence. With honesty. With the steady, faithful showing up of someone who has decided that love is a verb and has started conjugating it. Show up. Say the true thing. And trust that the people who matter will find their way back. They usually do. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Have you ever had to fight for a relationship that someone was trying to dismantle? Share your story in the comments. I read every single one. Tell me where you are watching from. I love knowing how far these stories reach. Until next time, keep showing up. The people worth keeping will notice.